I woke up in a valley of redstone under sky filled with slow-moving clouds and the smell of smoke resting heavy in the air. My name is Adrian Hale, and I was supposed to be on a simple research mission studying ancient ruins on an uncharted world. The landing shuttle failed and the crew vanished, and somehow I was left alone with broken equipment and a suit running out of power. While searching for shelter, I followed a river that shone like silver and heard a sound deeper than thunder rolling through the hills. That was the first time I saw them rising from the cliff with wings wider than any aircraft and eyes bright like burning gold. Dragons were not myths on this world, and the moment they noticed me, my quiet, scientific life ended forever. I tried to run, but the ground shook and a massive shape landed before me, blocking the path with claws longer than my arms. The creature lowered its head and studied me with a gaze full of intelligence that no animal should possess. Instead of devouring me as fear expected, the dragon spoke directly into my mind with a voice calm and ancient. It asked who I was and why a small, fragile human walked alone in the sacred lands of the first brood. I answered as bravely as I could and explained that I meant no harm and only wished to survive. More dragons arrived, circling above and landing around us, forming a ring of scales and curiosity. They debated among themselves, using thought instead of sound, and every word echoed inside my skull. Finally, the largest dragon declared that I would come with them to their mountain city until they decided my fate. With no ship and no hope of escape, I agreed and climbed onto the back of the one who had found me. The flight was terrifying and wonderful, and the world below looked like a painting made of stone and fire. We reached peaks so tall they pierced the clouds and entered a vast cavern filled with glowing crystals. Dragons of every size filled the halls, and many stared at me as if I were the strangest creature alive. They placed me gently on the floor and brought food that tasted of honey and warm rain. Days passed, and they questioned me about Earth and humanity and the countless stars we had explored. I told them stories of cities and oceans and music and war and dreams. To my surprise, they listened with deep attention and began to treat me less like a prisoner. Young hatchlings gathered around me wanting to touch my hands and hear more tales of distant worlds. One small dragon named Kira followed me everywhere and called me the soft-skinned teacher. I learned their history and how they had once ruled many planets before choosing isolation. They feared other races and believed humans would bring chaos and machines and endless hunger. Yet they could not deny their fascination with me, and with a strange kindness I offered. I helped heal an injured wing using simple medical tools from my pack, and their respect grew stronger. Soon I was allowed to walk freely through the Crystal City without guards at my side. The elders met and argued about what should be done with the unexpected human among dragons. Some wished to send me away, while others claimed I was a sign that the universe was changing. During those long meetings, I explored libraries carved into stone filled with records older than nations. I began to feel at home in a place that should have terrified me beyond reason. Months turned like slow turning pages, and the dragons taught me to ride the warm winds without fear. I built devices to help them monitor storms and repair ancient machines they no longer understood. Friendships formed between species that had never imagined trusting one another. But not all dragons welcomed the bond, and a faction rose that demanded my exile. They said a human could never be part of their future, and that I would betray them eventually. The tension grew until a final council was called to decide whether I stayed or disappeared forever. On the night before the decision, Kira begged me not to leave and promised she would fight for me. Her loyalty moved me more than any medal or honor humanity had ever offered. When dawn came, I stood before the gathered dragons, feeling smaller than ever in my life. Voices clashed like storms inside the cavern, and the argument seemed endless. Then an unexpected event changed everything in a single breath. A violent quake struck the mountains, and alarms echoed through the city of Crystal. An ancient volcano that slept for centuries had awakened and threatened to bury them all. Dragons panicked because their elders were too few to control such power alone. Without thinking, I offered plans and strategies learned from years of human disaster training. Together we organized evacuations and used machines I had repaired to stabilize tunnels. I guided them through smoke and fear and helped save countless hatchlings from certain death. When the danger finally passed, the dragons looked at me with new understanding. They saw not a fragile outsider, but a friend who had stood with them against destruction. The council gathered again, and this time the debate lasted only moments. Their leader declared that I had proven my heart and earned a place among the first brood. They invited me to remain as long as my life endured, and even beyond if science allowed. Tears filled my eyes because I realized I no longer wished to return to Earth alone. A home had grown around me made of wings and fire, an unexpected family. I sent a message to human space telling them I was safe and had chosen a new path. Rescue ships arrived years later, but by then I belonged to the mountains and the sky. When the captains asked me to come back, I thanked them and refused with gentle pride. The dragons gathered around me, refusing to let me go, and their decision was final. Now I live among them as an ambassador and a bridge between distant kinds. Children of both species learn side by side in holes carved from glittering stone. Sometimes I stand on the highest cliff and remember the frightened man I once was. The universe is wider and stranger than any human ever imagined, and I know with certainty that fate carried me here for a reason greater than chance. I remain a human among dragons, and they have truly refused to let me go.